Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Ginger here and we are doing another sketch video. There's a few sketches and things in here which you won't have seen, but if you pick up on my monthly sketchbook zine, anything that's missing from the videos is probably going to be in there anyway. Just there's so much I could show you, but these videos would be so long you'd never watch them. So let's get started. I am working on a quick shot I took, because it was a pretty busy day at the time, of Camastark Beach. It's another gorgeous white sandy beach. There's just tons of those. And if you know Scotland well, you'll know what I mean. You could quite easily be in the Bahamas, except for the temperature of the water. So, just thinking what I want to get started with, because I've got a couple of different options, and the last one I did was with pastel pencil and then washed out, and I could do that. So we'll start with something. I want to keep this fairly simple, and I know I always say that, don't I? I'm like, yeah, but in this case, yeah, I do. And I apologise for any background noise. The scaffolders are back, and this time they've taken the scaffold down and it's now in the road, and they are picking it up today, so that's good on one level and really irritating for background noise on the other, but we're getting there with the whole thing. So right, I think that's kind of a nice rough shape to work from. This could probably be a little tidier, to be honest, but and then we've got a rock formation. Just, yeah, I did that one too high up then. No, too far. Here, that's where I want it. Nope, it's not straight. And that bit sticks out there and sticks out to there, and then there's a bit there. Right, so that's the main rock formation. Then we've got, so there's a river that joins the sea at this point. So we're going to bring the beach down quite close to that rock and round, and then round like that. And then we've got the sea line comes quite close to up here. It's quite high. I don't want it too high though, so I might lower it slightly. And then there is this jagged rock formation out at sea. I mean, you can take a boat out there, but it's quite dangerous, so I wouldn't recommend it if you're ever around. This kind of comes up and back down again, like that. Now, I could do the distant mountains, which actually is the next island over, but I'm thinking actually, no, I don't want to do that. It's quite nice actually as is. You've got a wave break line here, and there's a couple of wave break lines. I don't actually want to get too bogged down in those either. So for now, I am just going to give some of this a little bit of colour. She says colouring with black, you know. Right, not colour, but you know what I mean. I'm just giving it some tonal value. This is quite dark, these rocks, because clearly the tide was in, because you can see there is like a wet tidal line. So, and I'm not really sure how much of that I actually really want, because if I draw this in here, you can see what I mean. It just looks a little odd, but I don't know, maybe we'll see what we can do. If I keep it abstracty enough, then I don't think it's going to matter too much. Do you want to try and get some of these gorgeous line shapes in? There's some grass up there, not much, but a little bit. This kind of comes down, sticks up, and then comes back down again. So we'll bring that in to there. As with all good rock formations, you've got lots of little sticky out bits, random rocks and all sorts going on. There's like a cut in here, isn't there? Yeah. You see where this one cuts down, kind of cuts down like that, really straight. But there's also a darker patch here which shows that this cliff kind of cuts back in on itself a wee bit, but it's quite hard to really get that in because I'm not going for massive loads of details. But cliffs like this, it's the details that kind of give you the shape, so I'm trying to be really careful about doing too little as well as not enough. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay. I'm making quite the racket outside, so I do apologise if you can hear it. I'm hoping that you're not, but we'll see. So it's a bit more jaggedy at this end, isn't it? And it's very the rocks kind of get a little bit more blocky as it kind of moves along and follows the river course. I mean, it drops away completely at one point, but in the meantime, yeah, no. So I'm just picking up lights and darks. I'm just looking for where the shadows are, and that kind of gives me a little bit of structure. Like I said, I'm not into detailing. I just want some really nice shapes, some nice lines, a bit of contrast. Oh, I want to come down like that, I think, a little. Well, yeah, okay, not quite like that. Don't want it looking like I've put in some stairs. Okay, so we'll say that's our more immediate rock formation. Same with this one. And then we want to do this little one here. I don't have this pencil very sharp, so it doesn't give me clean lines back, but that's fine, because it just makes me work harder for what I'm doing in trying to create shapes. Like that. Right. Now there's a huge amount of silt in the bottom of this basin of water from the river, and it's quite dark. So I'm just gonna scrub this in, but I'm not gonna go really dark with it. Once I've added water, it'll change again, so I'm not too fussed. But I just want to get something in to kind of represent it, because you can see it kind of all over the place with this water. Right. There's also some along there, but I'm going to be very careful about where we are with the shoreline coming into the sea. And then classic shoreline, we have a double shoreline. And you're probably wondering what I mean by that, and what I basically mean is you have where the sand meets water, right? And that creates your first visual line and element that you can clearly see, right? Everyone kind of understands that, everyone can see that. Then you have a second line. Now that second line is usually where the last bit of sand was wet from the receding water, and that tends to be slightly darker. At the top edge of that band is usually where you get your, well, at that time, kind of like a high tide line, and that's where you tend to find you get all your detritus that's just been dumped by the sea as it goes back out. So you end up with these really obvious bands of stuff, basically, where you've got your sea line where it meets the sand, your band of wet sand from where the sea was and now is no longer, and then your line of where you've got all of your bits and pieces that have been dumped, so you kind of float driftwood, shells, seaweed, unfortunately bits of plastic, but you also get some beautiful sea glass and pottery as well. So there are some pros and cons. Not many nowadays, because the amount of plastic just walking along the beach is unbelievable. It really is sad nowadays when you see it all and you're just like, for God's sake, people. Right, anyway, just want to darken this corner here because it is a little dark. and we want to do our distant rocks. Of course, it's always darker at the bottom because that bit's always the bit that is in the most shadow when it comes to the sea. Right. Okay, so we now have rocks, river, water, sea, sky, beach. That's simple. We're just going to try and keep it really, really simple. Let's take a look. Yep, you're still in focus, which is good. Okay, so now we're going to add some water and we'll see what we get. So first thing I'm going to tackle is the rocks. So bear in mind, this is just pastel pencil. It's not any of my charcoals. No particular reason. It just happens to be that I had the pastel pencils out from doing pet portrait, and therefore it was just kind of handy to grab one of those to do the base colours, or in this case the tonal sketch. So remember, the bottom is the darker bit there, and that's where our tide line mark is. Not that you'd know, but it will look weird anyway, but never mind, I know. And then it is lighter up here. So that's our lighter rock bits. And then we've got our darker bits, which is the silt, which is in the bottom of the water there. Just making sure that I scrub that to get enough of the pastel pigment out to create that difference. And we're going to do the rocky island in the distance. The extra little bit of beach there, which is just slightly darker, and then we're going to wash that out so that it's kind of darker and goes to lighter. Same with the beach, the wet strip of sand here. It will pick up a fair bit of pastel from where I've just kind of made those marks to represent all of the bits and pieces that have been dumped by the sea. Now I'm just going to use the water as is to kind of come along and just mark that out. I've left this white. I'm not going to for long though, so don't worry. But I don't want it too dark, but I also don't want it white. The sky I've just left white. I'm not overly fussed by that. Right, so I've just kind of washed that out just to give me a nice kind of tonal study. And then I will work the pastels back on top of that. What did I do with the clip? I had a clip here yesterday and now I have promptly lost the clip. Let me find a clip, because I need to clip that down because it's getting a crazy shape and that's going to make it hard to work with. Hey clips, where did you go? There's one. We'll use this one and we'll do it from the top because it will save it bending too much. There we go. Right, let's let that dry and then we will work on top of it. Right, everything is now dry. So I think the first thing I want to tackle is the sky, which I know I don't normally do, but I want to just get it out the way. It is just a single block of colour, but I do want to fade it down to the horizon line so that the lighter area at the bottom here, along with the cat fur, will contrast more with this rock outcropping. So, what colour do we want to the sky, people? It is quite a nice blue, but I want to keep it more warm tone so that it's, so we're going to get some difference with slightly more blue tones that I want to put with this sea. So we're just gonna put some down across the top. Get our brush. I love these brushes, they're amazing. Right, and it's a synthetic hairbrush in case anyone wondered, by Nick Pro. So this is my round 10. And we're just gonna pick up the pigment and bring it down. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to keep as much of it at the top as possible so that it's dark at the top, like that. And then light at the bottom. And that'll just give us a nice sky to work from, as well as a nice contrast with that rocky island. I love how everyone's like, oh, watercolour pencils, watercolour pencils. And you know, pastel pencils do exactly the same thing, by the way. Just add water and it breaks down. Right, anyway, so sky, done. Check, gone, sorted. Right, now beach. I want to keep this fairly simple. We've got this darker section here, so I want to keep that quite dark. I also want to keep where the sand is dark. So I'm using this is a kind of grey pink. It's a really lovely colour for wet sand. I don't know what it is, but a lot of the beaches in Scotland, especially the white sandy beaches, when the sand goes wet, it goes really pink. It's absolutely amazing. Dirt on that, and that's right. And we're just going to add in this gorgeous yellow, which we will wash out. Don't panic, because it is quite a strong colour. I just want some of that over that. Right. It's kind of looking beachy already. Yeah, that annoys me, because I did not want that, and it's just messed everything up, because it's added a green tone to this sand, which is not what we wanted. But hey ho, I can go over it. That's the whole advantage of doing stuff with pastel and water, is it takes quite a bit of the pastel off, but it means that even on paper like this, which is mixed media and watercolour paper, you can get quite a lot of layers down, even though this is not not pastel paper in any way whatsoever. So there is our sand and beach colours. Just going to take some of that into there. I'm also going to add some of this to this. I haven't decided what colour I want that, but actually this colour here is perfect for it. So actually we'll just add some of that in around that. Yeah, like that. This is a very strong yellow still, but never mind. Right, okay. Where am I going with this? So the ocean's got a couple of different colours in, and it has got turquoise, 2 turquoises in it as well. So I'm going to use, this is one of the Contis. I don't know if you can see that, whether it will focus on it, but it is a Conti. So I'm going to bring it, this is the darker one. So I want this further back, and we'll layer some light over the top. Like that. Now it changes again as it comes in to the land, and we will get some of that in shortly. Right, paintbrush. Oh, actually, do we want to put our darker colours in? So there's this gorgeous dark blue which I've been using for a lot of the seas at the moment. I had wanted to keep this relatively pale And I might do when it comes to the main painting, but at the moment I'm quite liking these more saturated colours. Yeah, let's run with this for a minute. Let's start light and go up, I think. Just because the dark colours will be pretty dark once I pick them up, yeah. You can see how dark that actually is now. Yeah, I know, I went too high. I knew I went too high. But never mind. Like I said, I'll be layering over the top of this anyway, so we can lighten this as we go. Right. Let's try and reduce my sky problem and take some of this up so we can bring that skyline back down again. It's a bit better. Not completely, but it is better. Make sure I get around these rocks. That's looking better. I love the colours there. That's really nice. Okay. Quite happy leaving these as is at the moment. I might add some green, but at the moment it's like, is it really worth it? The paper's drying quite fast, so that's good, and that will give me more to work with. So pretty much done with the paintbrush and the water. So I'm going to move those out of the way for a second. Oh, and clearly I have been slowly moving off screen as well. Sorry. Right, this is mostly dry, so now we're going to bring it back in. Now, a lot of this end of the water is reflecting the sky, and as such it's giving more of the warmer blue tone over the water. It's also moving, so it's got a lot of these ripples. So I think what I'm going to do is just do loads of, see how many of these lines I can do back and forth, because that's kind of the direction the water lines are going. Like that. Look at that. Like that, actually. Like these lines. It's kind of fun just to give us these lines to show the ripples of the water. Right, where do we want to go? We've got bits of white where we've got the waves breaking, but I don't really want to focus on that at the moment. I've got this here, so this is what I want to focus on, is bringing some of this back. So we want to bring some of our yellow back in. And it kind of does come into the water on this corner, so I just want to bring that in. And also there's a tiny bit of it here in this corner. I think there's another bit further down as well. Yeah, in these there. You can see a lot more of the sand in the water there. So I like that. I like the lines. I just want to follow that curve. Like that. Just gives us this nice shape. Right, we do want something for this water. I've got a couple of different colours, but I don't want to go too white, so this is actually a blue. So I'm just going to do, is this still, yeah, it's still damp, which is a bit of a problem. Let's put some of this, because it's a grey blue, I'm going to bring some of that into this, into the rock formation, just a little bit. It makes a nice, just like the colour. Probably gonna have to bring some of this black back in actually. It's just, it's like a line there, like that. Love that. Right, where are we going with this then? Another one there. I don't want too much, but I do want some line. Just gonna pick that up. And do you want some darker lines? Yeah, we'll use the Conte and bring in some darker lines. Yeah, I just want something a bit more dramatic, I suppose you could say, because you know. And we've gone into the sky. I knew I'd do it. I knew I would get too enthusiastic and I would get into the sky, and that's exactly what I did. Never mind. So, loving these lines. That's great. Pretty. We are kind of missing where we've got this blue as it kind of comes in, kind of corners like that. Am I kind of liking the lines? Maybe. Just going to go back and forth here. See, I'm missing this dark colour. Hopefully you guys can still see. So I'm missing the dark right on the horizon line again. So just going to bring that back in. Kind of like that. And then just emphasize where the rock is there. And then again, I kind of lost where this is, so I'm just going to bring it back in with this. I want it a bit darker. It's so in your face in the photograph, so I'm just wanting to kind of really bring it back in and make it back in your face, if you know what I mean. Right, and then I want to bring where we've got all the kind of bits of driftwood and seaweed and stuff that's been washed up along there. Okay, well that kind of went a bit more dramatic than I was planning on. I kind of like it, and I don't know. I think that's a bit better. I was losing too much of the blue at that point. Still never put any green on the rock, but actually I kind of prefer it like that. Right, I'm going to leave that there, messy fingers already, so that I can get some lunch. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed following me along on this sketch. Like I said, I like to try and keep them quick. Most of the time I spend on these is waiting for it to dry, unbelievably. And like I said, the next month's scene will cover this sketch as well, and some of the notes that I put in on this one. So you'll see a bit more of that going forward. Any questions, obviously leave it in the comments down below, and I will see you all soon.